I can't be the only one that's very sad about the ending of this episode of Yowamushi Pedal. Mito Tsuji announcing that he will not race in the third day of the Inter High, that just made me freaking sad. I was sad. When I saw that, I was like, damn it. I really wanted Mito Tsuji to, at the very least, win. I know this is meant for better character development for Mito Tsuji to learn from, but I mean, I really, really, really hope he will race in the third day. Maybe his teammates can talk to him and he might race in the third day. I hope and I pray that Mito Tsuji will get the courage and strength to race again. This episode of Yowamushi Pedal, a lot of setup. Pretty much this episode was just clearly set up and, reevaluating all the emotions you've had from the first season in this episode. For instance, since this is the final race for all the third years, they had a little bit of a moment to where they had a flashback to where we got to see when they were first years and when they started becoming actually really good road racers. We saw how they started, we saw what tournament they started out when they started becoming good, and we got to see their little flashback that had a lot of good sentimental value to it. I actually enjoyed those overall scenes. Gave me a lot of emotions. But in this episode, there's a couple setups that you will notice. For one thing, the knee. That knee injury on Kinjo is definitely bad. That is very, very bad, because in this episode, there is a lot of foreshadowing. I'm an anime-only watcher, but I could see that foreshadowing. Obvious foreshadowing is obvious. From what I understood from this, from both sides, we have Hakone and Sohoku, both sides were saying the unexpected can happen. And from what, Kinjo was stating in this episode, is that he knows for a fact he will fall on the third day. For instance, as we know, we had Mito Tsuji a while back, a couple episodes back, he stated that his entire team will fall on the third day. Mito Tsuji himself said that. And with this episode, you have it to where, Kinjo announces he most likely will not be able to be the ace for the third day of the Inter High. So this makes me instantly think, okay, so who will be the ace then? Most likely Onoda. I want to say it right now. I'm calling it. Onoda is going to be forced to become the ace of Sohoku, because Kinjo is probably going to fall in the halfway point to get everybody up to that point. Most likely all the third years are going to push themselves through the first half of the race, and then they are going to fall. And then the first years will have to take over. Most likely that's going to be the exact same thing that is going to happen to Hakone Academy. Fukutomi definitely is going to be weakened after this, race. I mean, he doesn't show it. They didn't really try to show it in this episode. But for Fukutomi to actually state constantly through the course of this episode that the unexpected could happen, it makes me believe that he might be very weakened. Majority of the people that pushed themselves through the first section of Yowamushi Pedal, the first season, most likely are very weakened. Now, I'm curious exactly what is going to happen after this point, because, this right now with the knee injury that Kinjo has, it's already certain that he will fall. Even if the other third years don't, it's certain he will. But, we get to see Tadokoro. He was also weakened from this. Maki, he was also weakened after this race. We saw how tired they were, and they were putting up a front in front of the first years to show that they were strong, when you had Naruko and Onoda collapse on the floor after the race. So besides that entire factor, there's another thing that was set up in this episode. Besides the Mito Tsuji saying he won't race, and he might race depending on his teammates if they, force him to race, and, they kind of slap Mito Tsuji in the face saying, we won't fall out in the third day. That'd be some irony. But besides those two facts, we have the time limit. Now, I don't know much about Inter Highs. Like I said, I'm not big into sports anime. I've only watched a handful of sports anime. I can literally count the sports anime in the palm of my hand. That is how many sports anime I have watched. So I don't know much about Inter High rules. And so finding out that, for instance, after 40 minutes of the first place, after the first people like the aces, how Hakone and Sohoku passed the front line. Well, after 40 minutes, we found out that there is a timer, and after the second day, anybody that takes longer than 40 minutes will instantly be dropped out of the race, and they cannot race in the third day. So with the conclusion of this episode, over half of the racers from the Inter High have been knocked out with the ending of this episode. So we're going to have less racers in the third day, this upcoming section of the race, and it's probably going to be a lot more intense because everybody's going to be fighting for survival since they're so tired. Everybody is so freaking tired that they cannot continue to race. So we'll have to see where it goes. I am really hyped up for what is to come. I am enjoying Yowamushi Pedal. This is exactly why I love Yowamushi Pedal. These type of episodes and episodes before that, like I said, I pray that Mito Tsuji will race. He better get up. I will be so disappointed. But anyways, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.